Hello class, today we will be talking about writing inequalities with variables on both sides. So here's a little comic for you before we get started. Pull out the note sheet that you got when you walked into class today, and it should say Pre-Algebra 2B-5 Notes, Writing Equations and Inequalities with Variables on Both Sides. And today we will be focusing on inequalities because last week we did equations already. So just for quick review, when you see the is equal to in a word problem, you know that we're talking about the equal sign. And even if the word is just is, if it's talking about two quantities like 3 is 3, then you know we're talking about equals. A few other phrases you might see that mean is equal to are is the same as or exactly. If you see these phrases or this word, you know we're also talking about these two quantities are equal to each other. The next one is less than. Remember, you must see the word is because if not, we're talking about subtraction. Review your notes from last week if you've forgotten. So the less than sign. And other phrases you might see. Fewer than, is under, and is below. Next we have is less than or equal to. So if you remember, that's the less than sign with a line underneath it. And some other phrases that mean this is no more than, at most, and the maximum. These all mean that the value is less than, but it could also be equal to that value. Next we have is greater than. Remember, if we don't have the is, greater than means to add. So words or phrases similar to is greater than is more than, exceeds, so one value exceeds the other, and then over and above. Now we have is greater than or equal to, and some phrases, at least, is no less than, and the minimum. Now when we are translating from English to Mathlish, but this time with inequalities, remember that you must know the words that go with addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. If you've forgotten, your notes should be in your composition notebook from the chart that we drew and from the notes that we took last week. So please look at your notes. Now we're going to do a couple of practice problems just to get used to this whole inequalities thing. It's very similar to last week. So 5 less than 12 times a number is less than or equal to 6 more than 10 times a number. So first let's look for our inequality sign. It says is less than or equal to. So we know automatically we have this sign. Now what goes on each side of this? We have 5 less than. So less than means subtract. 12 times multiply a number, which is our unknown, so we're going to put n. Now remember, when we have an operation sign, such as in this case subtraction, if we see the word than, we're going to switch what is on each side of this operation sign. So instead of 5 minus 12n, we're doing 12n minus 5. Okay, remember, the than means to switch the numbers on each side of the operation. Over here we have 6 more than, which is plus, 10 times a number, so 10 times n. Remember, we have the word than here as well, and we are going to write 10n plus 6. Now, when you are looking at the inequality sign, so that means less than or equal to, is greater than or equal to, This than does not mean to switch. Do not switch the operations on each side. Only when it has a subtraction, addition, multiplication, or division sign would you switch it when you see than. So 12n minus 5 is less than or equal to 10n plus 6. Great. The next one is a little bit longer of a word problem, so we need to pay really careful attention to each part. It says Keith has $500 in a savings account at the beginning of the summer. He spends $25 each week for food, clothes, and entertainment. Spencer has $350 in a savings account and spends $15 each week. Write an inequality that represents when Spencer has no less than Keith in his savings account. So here we find the inequality we need to write is when Spencer has no less than Keith. So when we say is no less than, we see that actually means is greater than or equal to. So Spencer greater than or equal to Keith. To help yourself, make sure you're including the right information on each side. I'm going to write Spencer over here, and I'm going to write Keith over here. I would recommend you do the same with any word problem. Identify which side is on each side of the inequality. So Spencer, what information do we have? It says he has $350 in a savings account, and he spends $15 each week. So remember, each means multiply, and we don't know how many weeks there are, so we put a variable in, W. So he starts with 350, and he spends, he's subtracting money, spends $15 each week. So we have 350 minus 15W. For Keith, he starts with 500 and spends 25 each week. So each multiply, week, W, 25. So we have 500 minus 25W. So this inequality represents when Spencer has no less than, so when Spencer has more than or the same amount as Keith. 350 minus 15W greater than or equal to 500 minus 25W.